In 2025, where there's millions of animes dropping every single day, it can get a little overwhelming trying to figure out where to start if you've never watched one before. Should you go with something hype like JJK, or one of the classics like One Piece, or maybe the anime called Reborn as a Vending Machine? Yes, that's a real anime. Well, since you're here, let me take away the stress for you. There's still one anime above the rest when it comes to starter animes, and I think you know which one I'm talking about. Let's talk about why Death Note is still the best starter anime even in 2025. Death Note is a story about this kid named Light Yagami, and he's the son of the police chief. One day, this random notebook falls from the sky, and it says the words Death Note on it. So he picks it up one day and brings it home because he was curious about it. Once he got home, this giant devil-looking thing appeared out of nowhere, called a Shinigami. Think of the Shinigamis as almost like a death god in a way. His name was Ryuk. Ryuk explains to Light that when you write a name in the Death Note, they automatically die. So Light tests this theory on some random criminal he sees on TV. Turns out a minute and 30 seconds later, dies of a heart attack. Now Light is on the run from the cops trying to make this new world with no crime. Kinda ironic, cause your dad's the police chief. Once he touched that book, little did he know he was in for a wild ride. So I was just editing the video right now, and I noticed I left out a crucial part to this video. I already know a lot of you guys are gonna say, well, just put them on to Attack on Titan or something like that, bro. There's a reason why I don't want people to watch Attack on Titan first. Attack on Titan is regarded as one of the best animes of all time. Regardless of how you feel about the ending or the entire series, the ratings do not lie. And when you recommend such a goated show like Attack on Titan to someone who's never watched anime before, it's gonna set their expectations way too fucking high, bro. So in theory, everything they watch after Attack on Titan is gonna seem mid in comparison. That is how people fall off from anime. And the same thing goes for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. There's only a handful of animes out there that I think can compete with Attack on Titan's legacy, bro. But anyways, let's get back to the video. So the first reason why I think Death Note is the best starter anime is that it's all in English. I think one of the biggest barrier to entries for most animes is that they don't want to watch the subbed and they'd rather just watch the dubbed. Now, say what you want about the dub. I mean, you know, some people say it's trash, some people love it. I'm one of the dub lovers.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
But 99% of the time, the dub is gonna be like 2 weeks behind the sub. Thank God they're starting to fix that shit now with like Dawn to Dawn and Kaiju number 8. You don't really get big foreign shows popping off like that if they're not in dubbed, except for a couple of few, like Squid Game's off the top of my mind. When they do blow up, usually it's some type of like trend or some shit, you know what I mean? If you're already watching shows in English and you're not used to reading the subtitles, watching anime in English is just gonna make it that much easier. Reason number 2 why Death Note is the best starter anime. It is very short, only at 37 episodes. This is short, straight to the point, and it's fucking just raw. A lot of people's biggest turnoff with anime is that sometimes they see 100, 200, 300, 400 episodes in a row, sometimes even 1,000. I'm looking at you, One Piece, and they go, you know, I think I'm gonna pass because that seems like a lot of episodes. And I don't blame them. I started my One Piece journey in November of 2023. It is currently February 5th, 2025, and I'm still only on Whole Cake Island.
One eternity later.
So it definitely takes a fat minute to get through. And that is a big turnoff to new anime fans. I promise you that. And the thing is, most Death Note fans will argue you only need to watch 25 of those episodes, because once N comes into the question, that's when a lot of people say the show falls off.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Personally, I enjoy the show as a whole, but I can see where that argument has a little validity. Reason number 3 why Death Note is the best starter anime, and this is probably the biggest reason why. The story is very grounded compared to every other story out there. This story takes place on modern Earth in modern times. And I think the biggest thing is that this story doesn't have a lot of fantasy elements in there, where the only biggest fantasy element is the Death Note and the Shinigamis. Other than that, it's pretty vanilla. And I know for a fact that's a big turnoff for new anime watchers, bro. When they hear the who's and the ha's from Dragon Ball, One Piece,
and this, what's he doing? Is to go even further beyond.
all the fucking power-up call-outs. It's a culture shock for sure, but you're not gonna get that big of a culture shock in Death Note because the only thing we're working with is just a Death Note.
What do you think of that, El? This is my perfect victory! That's right! I win!
And that's where a lot of people find the cringe in anime, is that, especially in the dubbed, when they hear these who's and the ha's of, you know, Dragon Ball or One Piece or Don or, you know, whatever the case may be, they get a little turned off by it because it sounds cringe. Which, sure, I can give that to you, but if you're an experienced anime watcher, you wouldn't bat an eye at it. Reason number 4 why Death Note is the best starter anime. Every single episode will have you on the edge of your seat. I will promise you that. There's no filler, there's no side stories, there's no nothing. It's just the straight meat and potatoes of the Battle of L and Light. And this show's a psychological thriller, so it's definitely gonna make you question your life, bro. I always loved watching Light's inner monologues and L's monologues, bro. They were just so, like, I don't know, I just have like a satisfying feeling when I see smart characters able to strategize against their enemy.
Relax, Light. While it's true that Kira hates losing, it's also true that most people would rather win than lose. It's human nature.
Is he going to think that I'm Kira if I go for the win? I suppose I could just lose on purpose, but if I do, it could work against me. Since he'd expect Kira to want to win, he might also expect me to throw the match to avoid suspicion.
Reason number 5 why Death Note is the best starter anime. The soundtrack is godly. Let me repeat that again. The soundtrack is godly. Listen to this. You're telling me that's not a banger? Come on, bro. That's not the only one either. Check this shit out too. Like I said, gas pack, bro. And you're probably watching this video saying, you know, I've heard these before. Where have I heard these? Well, joke's on you. They've already been TikTok trends for years, bro. You're late to the party. Go watch Death Note. And my 6th and final reason why Death Note is the best starter anime is that it's animated by Madhouse Studio. Now, I know it's not an anime that focuses on martial arts and fighting, but it's always nice to have clean, fluid animation, especially by a goated studio, Madhouse Studio. And if you don't know who Madhouse Studio is, they've done shows like Frieren, One Punch Man Season 1, Hunter x Hunter, Monster, Hajime no Ippo. So they definitely got some good names under their belt, and they know what they're doing when they go to create animes. But those are a couple of reasons why I think Death Note is the best starter anime. And if you agree with me, let me know down in the comments. And if you disagree, let me know which anime is better than Death Note as a starter anime. And if you guys like this kind of content, go to hit the like button, hit the sub button, because I'm going to be doing a lot more of this content coming soon, bro. So stay tuned. But anyway, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.